Hi there, strikers. There's something uniquely disturbing about people vanishing into thin air. Read about these incredibly strange, unsolved cases. Although these disappearances span centuries, locations, age ranges, and circumstances, there's one common thread shared between them: a lack of closure. There are theories, speculations, and investigations, but never a decisive answer. On our incoming episode, I'm going to feature some of the cases of mysterious disappearances, of some missing that just disappear without any trace. This is the last part of Brandon Swanson, read 2010, p. 2. Because it was assumed Brandon had fallen into their river, the search focused around the Yellow Medicine River and the surrounding area. However, this area has now been ruled out because if Brandon did fall into the river, his body would have been washed downriver and eventually found. In the early weeks of the search in May and June 2008, land and air searches were conducted both by community volunteers and individuals from professional search organizations, but with no luck. Numerous searches have been conducted since then, primarily relying on the time and effort of local volunteers. The most recent major search effort was conducted August the 7th to the 8th, 2010. Current searches are focusing on a specific area of Mud Creek, which is also located in the vicinity where Brandon's car was found. The focus of the search moved to this area after bloodhounds led searches there in March 2010. The professional search manager on the case, Jeff Hass, who writes the blog titled The Search for Brandon Swanson, updates the blog with information on the search and believes Brandon's remains will be found in time. Cadaver dogs have indicated a scent in the area, which is evidence enough, Hass stated, for the search to continue. When an individual dies and the cause of death is unknown or uncertain, investigators employ the psychological autopsy, or equivocal death analysis. Using the elements of the psychological autopsy, Brandon's disappearance was analyzed using an equivocal missing person analysis, Seifert and Immelman, 2007, in order to explore possible explanations of Brandon's mysterious disappearance. Although it is possible that Brandon disappeared of his own accord and is alive and well, living in another location, perhaps under an alias, this scenario is extremely unlikely. There is no evidence that Brandon was planning his disappearance, and it takes a high level of sophistication to plot your own disappearance and relocation. It has also been nearly 3 years since Brandon went missing, and for a fraud of this nature to last that long without detection is unlikely. It should also be considered that Brandon was on the phone with his father while attempting to walk towards a location so his father could pick him up, hardly the behavior of someone staging his own disappearance. Mental breakdown does not seem like a plausible cause of Brandon's disappearance, although it cannot be ruled out entirely. Family and friends indicated that Brandon had always been a high-functioning and emotionally stable individual, and for his whereabouts not to be discovered for nearly 3 years makes the mental breakdown explanation highly unlikely. Authorities immediately assumed that Brandon had fallen into the Yellow Medicine River. After 2 years and innumerable searches of the river, it is highly implausible Brandon drowned in the river, because his body likely would have surfaced by now. The present search is now focusing on another body of water in the area, Mud Creek. The same argument holds true for Mud Creek, so it would be a mistake to focus all of the search efforts on that location. It is also not likely Brandon drowned because it was reported that until May 16, 2008, Brandon's cell phone remained turned on. His phone was thought to have been on for 2 days after his disappearance because every call made to the phone after his disappeared resulted in several rings and then a voicemail recording. When a cell phone is off or when it is damaged, for example, as the result of being submerged underwater, incoming calls go directly to voicemail, either with no rings or just one ring. How could Brandon's phone still be on for 2 days after he disappeared if Brandon did indeed drown? It is possible that he abruptly hung up the phone while falling into the river, with the phone slipping out of his hand and falling onto dry land. However, the phone has not been recovered and one can only speculate. It has also been postulated that Brandon may have sought shelter in a farmer's outbuilding and perished there. However, the probability of the building's owner not finding Brandon's remains after 2 years is unlikely. The temperature the night Brandon disappeared was around 40 degrees Fahrenheit with light winds, hardly conditions under which one would perish of exposure within a matter of hours. Another possibility is that Brandon could have fallen into a hole or a type of naturally occurring trench encountered while walking in the dark. But if that were the case, it would be odd that after nearly 3 years of extensive searching nothing has been found. There are no known personal, economic, or social motives that plausibly may have driven someone to murder Brandon. However, there are individuals who murder strangers because of a deep-seated, usually sexual, fantasy. Because Brandon's fate is still unknown, it can be speculated that he was taken by an offender, murdered, and disposed of so his remains would not be found. The likelihood that an offender, especially one with homicidal fantasies, happened to be driving in rural Minnesota at 3 a.m. on the same road Brandon was on is remote, but still needs to be considered. Another possibility is that this could be a case of vehicular homicide. An individual may have been driving home intoxicated and accidentally hit Brandon. Gravel rural roads are not illuminated with street lights and visibility is poor. It is possible a possible hit-and-run driver panicked and in fear of going to prison took and disposed of Brandon's body to avoid detection. It is possible a possible hit-and-run driver panicked and in fear of going to prison took and disposed of Brandon's body to avoid detection.